Hi.
How are you? Well, that was simple, right? You got it.
Yeah, it was. It was. Yeah, I was just waiting for the link to come up. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm
How are you? I'm so glad that you
well.
joined me.
I'm well. Thank you.
So, everybody, we are just now meeting Alaya and Tammie. So we figured that we would do a live event to talk about our upcoming. So I'm putting on an event, and I'm so excited to have Tammie feature her work. She's with 68th and Monroe,
Mhm.
and she's got some amazing skincare, and I'll let you talk more about it. But I think this is going to be a great conversation, everybody. So we're just going to talk a little bit about what's coming up for the event. I'm going to have her talk about her products. Hey. But before we get started, I wanted to tell you that I saw your last name is the same as mine.
I know.
Can you
So
talk
obviously
about
it's
that?
by marriage. Do you
Oh,
have
okay.
family in Detroit?
Um, I know my grandmother is from Detroit, but I don't have family
Interesting.
there currently. Yeah, but I,
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know the full history like I want
Uh-huh.
to, but I know that my family, some of them came from like the South, so they came from somewhere in the South. But
Oh,
most of my family is Chicago area.
oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think Tony's family, my husband's family came by way of California, and
Hmm.
then a good many of them migrated to Michigan. Um, so most of his family, his immediate family, is there still.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah,
Interesting. I wonder if we're
yeah. So
somewhat
when
related.
Rhoda told me your name, and I was like, "Oh, Brooks, okay." And I've been meaning to say something for like since we've been corresponding on Messenger. I just hadn't said anything, but yeah, yeah,
Right. Yeah, no,
yeah.
that's so fun.
It
It's
is
such a
funny.
small world.
It
I'm
is funny.
curious.
Uh
I'm
huh.
very curious.
Right.
Um, but before we even go into talking about the event, um, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, your company, your products. And by the way, I've tried some of your stuff. I know we haven't met in person directly, but another friend of mine, I'm not sure, I don't know if he knows you directly, but his name is, well, he goes by Mr. Biename Ulrich.
So did I meet him at a market?
Yes, yeah, probably the market because he does get your stuff. So he allowed me to try some of your stuff, and he was like, "Oh, I love her stuff," and I tried it. I'm like, "Ooh, this body butter is amazing. I loved
Oh
it."
yeah, 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 yeah.
So yeah,
So I think didn't you say you and I met maybe at Grant Park?
I think that we met in passing. Like you were busy talking to other customers,
Hmm.
and I walked by.
Hmm.
Like I walked by your stand, and just said, "Hey, hello," but we didn't, like say, "Oh, I didn't introduce myself," like, "Oh, hi, I'm Malaya," or anything like
Oh,
that.
I see. I see. I
So
got you.
very brief. I don't even know if I would call that a real
Okay. All
introduction.
right. Yeah, no worries. So yeah, so 68th and Monroe, the name of the company. I'm Tammie Brooks, founder. We're an all natural, handcrafted, clean body care brand. The business is about 4.5 years old now. We just celebrated 4.5 years in May. And really, one of the big reasons why I started the brand is because my skin is just extremely dry and very sensitive. And um, around that time, around 2019, I was really struggling to find something that was keeping me hydrated. So, people recommend various things. Someone said, "Hey, get some coconut oil." So I did.
Hmm.
And it just kind of soaked right through my skin. And I realized I needed more of a layered product. So I just pulled out some things in from the pantry, made a batch of body butter. That was actually, that's our signature product.
Okay.
um, sh- Shared it with some friends, my family. I've got 3 daughters, my husband. Shared it with them, shared it with some outside friends, and they really enjoyed it. And actually, by that time, I'd said, okay, I'm starting a business. And so I kind of done a soft announcement on Facebook. Hey, I'm starting a business. Stay tuned. And
Right.
that was kind of it, like the latter part of 2018, December of 2018. And then I went to dinner with some friends and I shared the body butter. and the young lady called me the next day and said, "Hey, I want to order some. My grandson has eczema, and this
Mm-hmm.
is amazing for his skin." Now, keep in mind, my skin is dry, but I don't have eczema.
Right.
But I have so many customers that you mentioned the body butter.
Mm-hmm.
That in particular is one of the best sellers for those in the eczema and psoriasis space. Um, because I've got some, it's a shea butter, but we've got some mango butter in there as well. And that's a very dense
Yeah.
butter. And so for those that have the eczema, it really soothes that when they're in a flare up mode or what have you. So, that's kind of it in a nutshell in terms of, why I started. I mean, I was eating better, making sure I was reading labels in terms of what I was ingesting, but I never really thought about reading a label for any skincare lotions or anything like that. And then when I started reading them, I was like, wow, this we need to do better. So I did. And so my brand is very intentional. It was and will always be in that clean arena,
Mm-hmm.
because essentially less is more. And a lot of the reasons why folks have so many skin conditions a lot of times is because the products that they're using are so riddled with synthetic material or something toxic, or
Right.
you know those sorts of things. So yeah, I wanted to contribute in that way. So I thought, well, if it helped my friend, it helped my family, let's see how we can broaden that help. So yeah.
Right. I
Hmm.
love that. I love the
Yeah,
whole,
yeah.
I love the theme of clean and the vegan and just things that'll help our skin. Because my skin is also super sensitive. Like, I can only use certain face lotions. Like, I've
Hmm.
always been a only Cetaphil type of girl. Like, I can't
Hmm.
even do
Hmm.
stuff because I've noticed that, again, the ingredients, and when you really read it, you're like, what is this? And if you don't know what everything is on the ingredient list, it's like, something's off here. But I definitely will say that when I tried your body butter, I felt like it definitely felt very thick and hydrating.
Hmm.
But what I liked was that it wasn't too thick to the point where, some moisturizers or some lotions are like, they make you feel like super
Hmm.
greasy and nobody, be opening door handles and walking
Sure.
everywhere with greasy hands. So I
Yeah.
liked, I liked that specifically about your stuff. But I was going to just talk a little bit about to now the event just for everybody on. So basically what we're going to be doing, and I'll just tell you too about like my day job. Obviously, as most of you know, may or may not know me, if you're coming from Tammie's Instagram, I'm Alaya and I teach mobility, stretching, yoga sessions. But by daytime, I actually work in the medical device sales industry. So I work for a women's health company, and I thought that it would be a wonderful idea to somehow bridge the women's health idea. I'm in the hospital on a day to day, traveling from one hospital to another and promoting and supporting these surgery cases where they're actually using my company's products to remove patients, specifically women, who suffer from heavy menstrual bleeding, heavy periods, people who have fibroids, people who suffer from polyps. So a lot of this stuff is like very, very common, and a lot of us, we don't talk about these issues. We don't know about it. Still on the whole health theme, healthy, clean, similar to what you're doing, Tammie. Um, and I was like, how can I somehow spread the word about what we're doing and just promoting women's health, getting other people to understand and know what products are being used on them, and just educate them on things that they can be doing on a daily basis. If you have heavy bleeding, if you have endometriosis, if you're having difficulty getting pregnant, or if you're thinking about having hysterectomy, along the lines of women's health, how can we spread awareness and really talk about these issues within our community? So that was the idea behind the event. And it's like, not, my company hasn't done too many, so I was really thinking of ways like I can make it different, like by
Hmm.
bringing in people within the community who are already promoting health and wellness in some sort of way, shape, or form, that necessarily isn't like a medical device or other things, like exactly what you're doing. And I love what you're doing. So I think it's going to be great
Yeah.
and a great way to promote that. So we'll have some OBGYNs there, three, and they will be talking to everybody that's there about certain questions. We'll be able to ask them. It'll be like an open panel, basically,
Okay.
where we can ask them questions. But we'll also have some structured questions to start with. We'll have food and drinks, and it will be in the Atlanta, kind of surrounding Atlanta area, you guys. So definitely want to just let you guys know about this event and hope that you guys can make it. But back onto the topic of your skincare products, I wanted to ask you, so are you vegan, or in terms of your diet, or what kind of brought the vegan inspiration about for the brand?
So the brand itself is not, it's vegan friendly, but
Vegan
we're
friendly.
not
Okay,
all, yes, we're
my
vegan
bad.
friendly. So we do have some animal product, beeswax and
Oh,
things like that.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So, but to answer the question about being vegan, so numerous years ago, I was on this journey, like I said, eating better. And at one point I decided that I was going to be vegan, and
Mm-hmm.
that was very short lived because I like to bake and I don't really like the baking alternatives in the vegan space. That's just me personally. There's a
Yeah,
huge vegan
it's a lot.
population, no shade to them, but I like real butter in a pound cake.
Right.
So
That's hard. That's hard to go without. Yeah.
exactly. So I didn't, when I decided that wasn't going to be the route, I've gone more the pescatarian route. So
Okay.
I'm generally speaking pescatarian. And it really wasn't so much about the fact that I don't like meat. I love fried chicken. I love ribs. It was just about the sourcing and the processing and the production of the meat
Right.
that was a turn for me. So because of those issues, I felt like going in the for a long time I used to joke on Facebook when I was kind of more on that platform, or when I decided to do that, I was vegan-ish. And so once I decided I wasn't going to be vegan-ish at all and just more on the pescatarian, it wasn't that I didn't care for the meat. It just, so the production of it just was not good. And so to minimize that, I thought, well, let's just do more on the plant-based side, and then, throw in the fish and things like that. I and my husband was the real, in the beginning, he was really a hard sell because he's a meat and potatoes kind of guy. And he loves dairy as well, but dairy doesn't like him.
Dairy, yeah.
And
Dairy's not
he
good.
had a really bad issue with we went out one night and we had Mexican, me and the family, and he really was ill the next day, and I said, okay, that's it. So I
Yeah.
changed his diet. He was like, I said, no more dairy, no more all of this stuff, and he was like, fine. He had been fighting me on it for years, and he was so ill, he was just like, whatever. So whatever I decide now is fine with him. And so every now and then things will change. I'll say, well, I've done some research, so we are not doing this anymore. Okay. He's gotten used to it now.
Right. That's
My
good.
when my girls were little, and I was moving in that more healthier direction,
Hmm.
um I would come home and say, okay, we're not, no more Pop Tarts. And they were like, okay, you know what? We are so over you and this reading and this research. But they're used to
Right.
it now. Everybody's used to it now because the thing of it is the more you know, you try to do better. And if you
Right.
don't share that with people, if you find out information that can be helpful and you don't share it, then it's really you're doing it, folks a disservice. So,
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
yeah.
I think it's great that you got your husband on that wave. I think the men, naturally they like the red meat and
Hmm.
all of that stuff a lot. So
Hmm.
it's harder to get them off of that train. But
For sure.
I also was actually pescatarian for about 2, 3 years, and as of recently, I'm back. Like I eat chicken and I eat red meat on occasion.
Sure.
Like I don't like to say I don't eat it, but I barely eat it. Maybe once a month, like a
Hmm.
little small piece.
Gotcha.
But I think as long as you're, like you said, balancing it, and once you do the research and because for me it was the exact same reason that I stopped eating it. It really wasn't like I don't like meat, because I do. I love chicken. I
Hmm.
love steak. I can eat that.
Hmm.
But it was also about the way that it made my body feel, because it's like
Hmm.
Okay. After I eat that stuff, or really anything that is like dairy or anything that's too heavy, like makes my stomach feel
For sure.
too full, like
Hmm.
uncomfortably to the point where it's like, oh, gotta use the bathroom. Like
Hmm.
that's not fun. So to
Yeah.
make the
So
process easier, it's like your body, your stomach just feels better, and you feel like you can flush everything out more easily when you're eating those things like fish and
mhm.
non-dairy products for
Yeah, and
sure.
I've always had to be really um careful with the dairy anyway because I'm lactose intolerant. So I can do some things, but there's some things that I just like I can't do cow's milk and drink it in a glass. Actually, I don't even do almond milk and all the other milks just from a glass. It's got to be
Like
made
mixed,
in something.
yeah.
Like, I can do yogurt, I can do ice cream, that kind of thing. So my stomach has always been sort of weird to start with.
Mm-hmm.
And because I've not eaten pork for so long, particularly like ribs or things like that, and I sneak or I decide I want to eat a bone.
Your stomach doesn't want like it.
Well, no, my stomach and now my skin. So like about 6 weeks ago, I went to an event and I knew I shouldn't have had it, but they had some pulled pork. She was like, "Oh, let's eat some. It's really good, North Carolina style." And I said, "No, no, I'm good."
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, "No, but yeah." So basically, she bullied me into eating it. And
Right.
the next day, not only was I physically ill,
Oh
my
God.
skin, as I've learned, so you can trigger eczema with something that you eat. I've never had eczema in my life, ever. And after I ate this, I got really bad inflammation in my face. It was itchy, rashy, swollen. It was terrible.
Oh
But
my
the
God.
trick was, I thought I just had, I didn't really know what I had. I thought it was just super dry skin because we know that's what I
You
have.
have right.
But I got it when I got it here. That's when I in my arm here. That's a telltale
Oh.
sign of it because they're usually in the creases, either your legs or your arms. That's where they start.
Uh,
When I got it here, I knew. And so naturally, because I'm in that space, I make product. So I just did some research, put together an eczema blend. It's fine. Everything is great now. But that prompted me to literally write a recipe for a whole eczema line of products for customers, not necessarily for me, because I may not experience it again, but there's a huge customer base that we have that purchases the body butter from me, but they can now get the eczema balm. I've got an eczema balm now. I always had an eczema formula for our body serum. So, excuse me, not the body serum, but the face serum. So they could have always gotten that. Now they can get a facial toner that's an eczema blend. And then we've got a turmeric soap that is unscented because that's the thing with scents, even though we use essential oils, which are, plant-based, they still can exacerbate the eczema. So unscented is kind of the way to go, particularly if they're in a flare up. Now, if they're just regular managing it and want to put a little essential oil on with their butter or whatever, that's okay to do that. But when they're in a flare up, you want to be as clean as possible. So, yeah.
right. And
Hmm.
on that topic, I saw on your website that you have a perfume, and that
I
says new.
do.
Is that walk us through a little bit how you make that? And I hope that will you be bringing that to the Women's Health event
I
in May?
will. I'll have, they
Okay.
sell so fast. And it's so funny. I
Oh,
have really, we started making perfume, I guess, about a year and a half ago. And they sell so fast because I make a small batch of it. I don't make like large, like quantities like the butter and various other things like that because I kind of wanted to be sort of that exclusive sort of thing. But they
yeah.
sell really well. And there again, they are all in the clean skin space. So I make my own vanilla extract. So I take the vanilla bean and I soak it in an alcohol to make the extract or what have you, and it sits for months. And so that's the base. So then that's the base. So it's so most of them have kind of a vanilla-ish,
And
may have kind of a vanilla-ish smell to them. But beyond that, we just have the essential oils. So there's no synthetic fragrance. There are plant-based fragrances, and so interestingly enough, we're going to be doing a luxury perfume making class next month at Ceramide. And so that'll be our
That's a
first.
great idea.
Yeah. So people are really excited about that. That'll be our first actual workshop that we've done from the um, perfume space. I do soap making classes and then other classes, but this will be the first. But yeah, so I love perfume. I love to smell good. That so when you get dressed and go out, it tops off your outfit
Right.
with your smell good.
It elevates everything. That's why I was asking. I'm like, oh yeah, I know that the scents are, they can be bad, they can have these harmful things in them, but I'm like, oh, I can't go without it.
You
I
can,
know
and then so because I
the,
knew I
the more
couldn't,
natural.
yeah, and because I knew I couldn't, so previous to me actually starting my own or making my
Uh-huh.
own, 2 years ago, anniversary time, I told my husband, I said, hey, I've been researching clean beauty companies that make perfume. So
Mm.
he got me a discovery kit from Ellis Brooklyn or somebody. And I liked it. I really did. It was and it had a nice throw to it, so you could still people could still smell you, but
So
it wasn't all of the stuff that the manufacturers, these fragrance houses, put into perfumes. And so I liked it. And then one day I said, well, why can't you just make your own? So that's what I did.
you said,
So I
so
got my
I'll
little
do
handy
it.
dandy notebook out and
Uh-huh.
just started making some, blends.
Recipes or
Yep. Letting them sit. I forgot about them. And then I'd go in there and share. And so, interestingly enough, as you make these blends, you think you have some favorites. You make this and say, oh, this is really going to be great together.
hmm
And I put a blend together that when I put it together, I was like, this is not it. But it sat and it marinated and it married and it became my favorite blend. I never would have thought in a million years I would have gravitated toward it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it's just funny how that works. But anyway, and so it's
Yeah.
got some blue tansy. If you're familiar with essential oil, so blue tansy is an essential oil. Essentially, it comes from they distill a blue tansy
Mhm.
flower, and in the distillation process it changes the color to blue. So the essential oil is literally blue. So your perfume is blue. I do a new soap now it's actually called Blue, that has the blue tansy in it. It's a really pretty it's a I don't know how to just maybe it's more spicy, maybe on the spicy side, I guess.
Spicy. I was gonna ask
Yeah.
what's the family of, but
It's kind of
I love spice, like an oud type of
no,
scent. No,
not
it's
that.
like
More like a clovish sort of.
okay,
Uh,
okay. Oh,
I've got it with some clove. I got clove, and I can't remember what else I got in it right now. But it's really pretty, and I just started making it and selling it at the markets, and it sells like crazy because essentially what happens is people are intrigued with the color first.
right.
It's a real pretty
Blue.
light blue. The essential oil itself is a dark blue, but once you make your soap and it dilutes and all that good stuff,
Mm-hmm.
it turns it just kind of a light blue.
Mm-hmm.
But the way the essential oils that I've got it paired with, it really is amazing. Yeah,
That sounds nice. I'm
spearmint. I think
excited
I've
to
got some
try the perfume
spearmint in it too.
class. I want
Yeah,
to try that perfume class when you have.
yeah,
That would
yeah,
be
yeah,
really
yeah.
nice.
So we're excited about that. We're excited about that. We'll be doing more of those. That's our first one, but we'll be doing more of those because people love to smell good. So if I can help them to smell good, but not riddle their bodies with the toxic stuff that because these fragrances, I mean, their fragrances are so intoxicating. They are the way they put them together, and they know people, manufacturers know these brands know how
Like
to
kind of
how
and
to
make it smell good.
gra- how to grab you. They know what you're gonna want.
Right.
I love a very sexy, sultry sort of scent blend. Or when I'm looking for when I was looking for perfumes, so there's so many of them out there. So I'm wanting to mimic those in just a better way. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, you're on the way. I think that's amazing to have you doing something like that, where it still can be that blend of smelling good but also being healthy for the body.
Exactly.
That's what we want. We don't want to be feeding our bodies any extra toxins, because there's already, the air,
Yeah,
the food,
for
already all
sure.
these other things and factors that a lot of us cannot control.
Hmm.
So it's like, let's control what we can control,
Exactly.
the day-to-day that we're putting in our body, which really matter, especially if we're perfume, we put that on every day. So
Hmm.
that eventually is going to add up over
For
time.
sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And whatever we can do from a large perspective to help us to live a better quality of life, then that's what we want you to do. And so I want to be able to contribute my little share in doing that. If I can help a person, it
Right.
really makes me feel good to, you know, because I get it. You mentioned earlier about you have to be very careful about what you put on your skin. So I really get very tickled when, someone meets me at a market and they try a sample of something and then they buy it kind of reluctantly because they're like, I don't know, but they get it anyway. And then I get a message from them. Either they'll do a review or they'll send me a message on Instagram and say, oh my God, thank you so much. Because,
Love that.
yeah, so that really tickles me because, and I get it. I was very hesitant prior to me creating the brand. The only thing I put on my face pre 68th in Monroe was Vaseline. That's it.
Really?
I never put a lotion, never,
Oh,
because I didn't like how those things made me feel, like I was suffocating. It felt too heavy. But petroleum is not the best thing to put on your skin. Now, if it's mined properly, it's not a bad option, but we don't know how things are mined, particularly petroleum. And so that's not the best option. And I do workshops as well, where I talk about, how to read a skincare label, how to go on a particular website and do some research on um, the ingredient deck. Finding out how your product that you are using, how it rates. They rate these different products, and so the closer to 5 it is, the worse it is. You want it on the lower end, closer to 0.
Oh,
So I want you to be just your best skincare advocate. So if you advocate for your skin in a better way, then you'll be more very deliberate about what you look for, so you'll read your ingredient decks. And brand manufacturers know that because, for instance, they know that the layperson knows what shea butter is. So if they put good ingredients in any of their products, it's going to be in the labeling. It's with
right.
it's the things that we don't know, that we can't pronounce, and there are plant-based things that we can't pronounce either. So
Right.
it's not just about you can't pronounce it, it's about doing the research beyond that to see what it actually is. If it's in the synthetic arena, it should be always a no.
Yeah. Which most of the skincare brands and
Mm-hmm.
brands
Mm-hmm.
are, but again, we don't really take the time to read that. We're just buying what's out there, what's popular, and all that.
Sure.
And most
Sure.
people don't. And similar to like the stretching and the yoga stuff that I do, people don't really pay attention to these things until they have an issue themselves, like a skin issue. Oh, they break out, or oh, all of a sudden they're getting a bunch of pimples, or oh, they get like a back pain injury, and then people want to start working on these things and these preventative healthcare measures. So
That's
definitely important,
absolutely true. That's
right?
absolutely true because I have sciatica.
Oh, you
um
do? Okay.
I
Oh,
do. And my
wow.
husband just recently, over the last year, he has it as well. And he had a really bad flare up this summer, where he had to start going to, physical therapy and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've had it so many years that I just kind of, I know when I'm in a flare up mode. And you're right though. It's one of those things where until you need it, you don't do it. So am I
Right.
stretching on a regular basis? I'm not. Should I be? I probably should be,
Well, now
because,
you.
at least once a week I'm throwing up a tent at a market and all this bending and reaching and those sorts of things. So I'm wreaking some havoc on my body that I need to, and it needs to, we'll need to recover from that. So yeah, we all need to do better in whatever area or another.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing. I didn't know that you had sciatica.
Mm-hmm.
Have you found that any have you found any specific mobility or exercises or whatever it might be, practices generally that have helped you to cope with that, the sciatica? I don't
So
to hear.
I will say I don't do as much stretching as I need to, but I do notice that if I'm, if it's really bothering me, I'll get in the bed, where I'm already kind of elevated and lift up and do some stretching and put, side to side and those sorts of things, and that does help. I definitely see that. But then, I think I have like a little concoction that I make.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll put it sort of in that back area because it's kind of on the bottom, the lower back toward the buttocks area for me,
Okay.
and then all the way down my left. Usually, it's down my left leg goes into my foot.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think sciatica I've noticed too with like my with my community and stuff is that's one thing. Like for you, the eczema thing, sciatica is like, and I think just in general, even with eczema, it's like sciatica is extremely popular, and I didn't know
Hmm.
how many people suffer from it and like don't necessarily do anything about it or don't want to result to like seeing a doctor, which I understand. I mean, it's kind of just one of those things you live with, you
Hmm.
figure out how to live with it. Um, but I definitely encourage you to get to doing those stretches if you can, like at least if you can once a day. The bed things are great. Another thing I was going to suggest, and for anybody else on here, maybe if you have any back issues in general too, I have scoliosis, so it's a little different, but
Oh,
still,
okay. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's still like one of the driving factors for me to just start like even doing yoga and start taking care of my body. Because again, for me too, like it took me to get to that point where it's like, okay, I'm having back pain when I'm standing for too long. What can I do to get rid of this? Because I am not trying to age this way.
For
um,
sure. Yeah.
so I was gonna suggest heating pad. I don't know if you do that or don't do that. Definitely try it. And for anybody else on here, that's a hack. One of my favorite things to do outside of obviously, the stretching stuff and that I already have on my page. I will send you whatever you want as far as stretching that I think that can help with your sciatica, and everything revolved around your legs, your hamstrings, your tailbone, and your low back. I think will help to kind of release that for a little bit, and also probably your glute area, your like piriformis and everything around your glutes will be another
Hmm.
good area for you to stretch. But before bed, a lot of times it's probably a new part of my routine, but I'll get a heating pad and I'll just place it on my lower
Hmm.
back and lay in bed with it, and it feels so good. I definitely suggest it. I think that can also help with, for sure, actually, inflammation too, from
Mm.
what I've read, the inflammation. So I mean, sometimes whenever you're having a flare up, it would be good, or just generally, maybe if you're just not even having a flare up, it feels good in general. So
So
definitely
it's so
suggest.
interesting you say that because I was talking to my mom last week about it, and she said, "Hey, you ever you know, just sleep with the heating pad?" And I'm like, no, because I feel like I'm gonna electrocute myself. I'm gonna wake up dead. And
It's
she was
hot.
like, she said,
It is
okay,
hot.
so here, don't do this. Don't sleep with it then. She said, just go to bed with it
Right.
and then turn it off at some point. And I was
That's
like,
exactly what I do.
okay,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, that's kind of common sense. I don't know why I didn't think of that. I was
Right?
like,
It is one of those things that you just, and I don't know if it's like a generational thing, because also my grandmother taught me that. And I feel like nowadays, I don't know if as many people do that or not, but she taught me that as well. And my grandma also was like your mom, and that she would sleep with it. And I was like, I'm
mm,
usually cold natured. So I'm like, oh, that
mhm,
sounds nice. But after a while with that heating pad, it's
mhm.
like after maybe 30 minutes, I'm like, okay, this is good enough. That's enough. So maybe just like right before you go to bed, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, and then turn it off right before. I would say you'll
I
feel great.
I think that's a great idea, and I didn't know that that would help with the sciatica. So
Well, let
I'm
me
definitely
know.
gonna go.
You let me know, because I mean I've told people to try it. I haven't gotten as much feedback about how much it helps. So definitely let me know like if it helps. And of course, it probably will just help for a little bit. It's not going to cure it
Sure.
forever, but the more consistent, just like with the stretching and the yoga, the more consistent you can do it, I think that all of this will definitely help to at least reduce the pain, right? So you're not getting it as much or as often. Like if you're stretching your thigh area, your hamstring area, your glute area, and then your low back and mid back area, I think accompanied with the heating pad, I think that'll be great.
I'm going right to Amazon after we end this call.
I'm like, I can send you a link. I can send you an Amazon link for that.
Listen, I mean, the people, Amazon, unfortunately, I
We
just,
have
it's,
everything.
yes. Yeah.
You should get your products sold there. If I'm sure that's if you're not already doing it, I'm sure that's
So
in the works.
I had, when I first started the brand, which was 2019, I was in, well, maybe it was early 2020 or 20. Anyway, it's been a few years. And I was kind of on the fence then about it because I think a lot of times people attribute brands coming from Amazon, depending on what that brand is not necessarily as elevated, maybe kind of on
How
your
to do it.
low cost leader side, or because you can get some duds. You can buy some things on Amazon that you got to send back, you
Right.
know what I mean? So those reviews are really important. And so I was really nervous about that, but I'm now noticing that so many of the
Like bigger or more elevated kind of
exactly
I guess upscale is a better word. Upscale
exactly
brands
yes,
are going there.
like
Yeah.
they have a
That's a good
they have a
point.
whole luxury section now where you
Oh,
can
really?
get luxury, like real luxury purses and shoes, Valentino, Gucci, all of that. And now even some of my suppliers where I was going to them direct to
Mm-hmm.
buy ingredients for, products, they are now being a lot of the essential oil brands that I use are now, I can source those on Amazon.
Wow.
When I started the brand, they were not available there.
Right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
letting me know that I may need to I need to revisit that. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
I could see that being like a fork in the road as far as where you go as a company. But it does seem like most of when you think of anything, like most brands are there. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely
For
consider it.
sure.
But
Yeah. I mean, and my thing is, I mean, I'm shopping there. I know I'm a pretty discerning customer. But I do read reviews because in the beginning, I mean, I've always read reviews, but you find something you really like it, and maybe you forget to read the reviews, thinking, it can't be that bad, and then you get it, and it's like, oh, okay,
I
I see why. So I never
right.
get anything that has not been reviewed.
Yeah, I know
Mhm.
those reviews are important for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else as far as I was gonna say, just I guess along the lines of women's health and what we're doing for the event and what you've got going on with 68th and Monroe and what I've got going on with ageless mobility and yoga and stretching. What are and it can be what we've already talked about, but maybe some new things that you do just to take care of like your just some self-care things that you do for specifically can be around the topic of women's health. It could be maybe that you do yoga or that you go see your OBGYN once every couple of months or something along those lines that you do for your self-care as a woman to take care of your body and your
Well,
health.
I will say, for me, this year, my husband and well, the earlier part of the year, we got a membership to the gym because we had been saying forever, we need to go and work out. We walk around the neighborhood and he cycles. But when it starts to get really cold, then you really lose that interest in doing that.
Yeah.
So we got a membership, and I like spin. So spin is my
Oh,
all-time favorite exercise. So we got the membership. The only spin class, I'm flexible because I work, for myself. So I can create my workout schedule around whatever.
right.
But he works from home as well, but he's a little bit more structured. His meetings start usually early in the day. He's on back-to-back meetings all day.
Hmm.
So I'm saying all that to say our spin class that we had to go to was at 5:30 in the morning.
Oh gosh. Wow.
Right. So we had to get up.
Like,
We religiously got up at 4:30 Monday,
wow. Good for
Wednesday,
you
and
guys.
Friday.
3 days a week? Oh
Yep.
wow. Good for you
Yes.
guys. I mean, that's discipline right there, and that takes a lot. You know, it's like to be committed to your health like that is very important, and also
Eh,
just it's like a commitment to yourself, like showing yourself that you can do those things routinely to take care of your body is important, like an important promise. But wow, spin. So are you
yeah.
still doing that? Are you guys still doing
So
that, or is
we
that
haven't been as regular lately because
okay?
he recently took a new job, and so with the same company but just a different role, and it's
Nice.
just got him. And then the last few months I've just been busy myself. So my daughter has been doing, and she told us when we signed up for this um the gym, she was like, "You guys should join Orange Theory," and I was like,
Very.
"Mm-mm, that sounds too much like boot camp style to me." And I was like, "I don't want to do that." And she was like, "But I've noticed what has happened in our regiment, Tony and I's regiment, since we've been going to the gym. We started in January. Many of the things that Ariel, my daughter, does at Orange Theory is part of our regiment at the gym. So
Mhm.
whatever I was afraid of, I'm
You're already
already
doing it,
doing." Yeah.
which is
So
good.
I think
You're
we're going to
impressing
switch over.
yourself.
We need something a little bit more rigorous, and I think we're ready for that now. I think we may not have received Orange Theory the way we will now had we started it first. But I think us going to the gym and having sort of that discipline and doing the things that we've been doing
Working your
got
way.
us ready
Yeah,
for
for
it.
sure. And when you work out on a consistent basis, your body develops that strength. And I
Mm-hmm.
think yeah, if you come out of that, it loses it. I think, but once you're in it, yeah, I'm sure you guys are ready for it. I've taken one Orange Theory class, and it was definitely pretty difficult, more
Yeah,
rigorous than I expected. But I enjoy those types of workout classes. But I was gonna say, you guys have got to come to one of my classes
I would
too. I teach every
love to. I would
yeah,
love to
you and your
because
husband.
and it's so interesting you say that because I was reading recently, and I've always known this, that I know you can really tone and those sorts of things from yoga, you know?
Yes, yes.
And I was just telling my husband about it probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I was like, maybe we should do a yoga class. This was pre me knowing you.
Oh,
And I mean, there's lots of them out there. So it's not like
oh yeah, it's not
I
hard to
couldn't
find.
find someone, but I said it and it was just a passing thought and it was what it was.
Now
But now,
here we are, right?
yeah. Where's your classes?
So I teach in the Grant Park area. So
Oh.
yeah, Grant Park area of Atlanta every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. And then I also offer virtual classes. So if you ever were like, I don't feel like driving, because I've learned Atlanta people are very much we want to be in the vicinity of where we're located. We don't want to travel far because understandably so, the traffic can be so bad
Mhm.
after work. People are tired. So you can also join Mondays. I do a virtual class at the same time. So at 6:30 Monday virtual, and then 6:30 Wednesday in person. And then starting the first week of January, I'll be teaching on Saturday mornings too. So if that would work better
Hmm.
for you, that'll be in Buckhead. So that'll be a separate location at 11 a.m. every Saturday.
I mean, that might
So
work because
yeah.
generally from about January to March,
Hmm.
most of our farmers markets go away. The season goes away from January to March, with the exception of Grant Park. It's year round. So we
Oh,
still
really?
do that one, but that's on Sunday. So that my Saturdays, I'm saying all that to say,
Your
my Saturdays
Saturdays
become
are more open.
free.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that may be
Yeah.
something to consider, and then that may be something for Tony as well. Now, I think the convincing him to go to Buckhead.
Oh, is that far for you
Well,
guys? Yeah.
I mean, because we're in Chat Hill, so it's a ways from us.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. The commute here can definitely be a turn on or turn off factor for sure in
Yeah.
Atlanta. But that's why I was like, okay, let me try to teach on Saturdays, offer a class on Saturdays too, because the weekdays can be difficult. I get it after work, people are tired, and
Hmm. Hmm.
so yeah, they're not always trying
Yeah.
to commute. But I'd
Saturday,
love to have you guys
Saturday may
there.
not be a bad idea. I mean, even if we couldn't commit to every Saturday, if we could get in maybe one or two a month or
One or
something
two a
like
month,
that.
yeah. Once every other week, like I said, I'll be there. So,
Yeah,
um, yeah, I would love to have you guys there.
that sounds
That would be
good.
awesome.
I think that will be great for him. Particularly, he's not having an issue with the sciatica now.
Okay.
It's actually good, but I know that we're still wanting to lose a few extra pounds. We're always wanting to lose a few extra pounds. So yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, understandable. And I will say on the topic of like, like you said, the toning and how yoga can help with that.
Hmm.
I think that it can for sure, but I also incorporate some Pilates inspired movements into like a lot of my classes because I think that Pilates is a great way to get tone in your core, tone
Hmm.
up the muscles, make them while making them stronger at the same time, but you're not necessarily like lifting heavy weights, It's a way to work on your body weight. So we do a lot of those exercises in my class or things just for your general core area because that area can get so much weaker as you age. From what I learned from my grandma who was in her 90s and still could do all of this stuff was your core is so important and you've got to pair that the yoga and the stretching. And I know this just as important as that is with the workout stuff, with the strengthening. So having that perfect balance of the two, because if you're missing the yoga and you're just working on the strengthening,
Right.
your bones will become dense and tight, and then as you age it's like that's not really beneficial. That can lead to arthritis and back pain and a hunch over and a
Right.
posture and all these other
Sure.
things. So but if you're not doing the workout stuff you can have weak muscles, which nobody wants that. So it's like as long as you marry the two, and even when you guys go to your gym, I would say try to do like 5 minutes of stretching either before or after, just something that's doable. Like don't say, oh, I'm going to do 30 minutes because that's not, realistic. What can you guys commit to together? Like 5 minutes before you do your Orange Theory workout or you go to the gym, or 5 minutes after, and give that a try. I want to know how that goes. See if it
Okay. Yeah.
helps
Yeah.
your
Yeah. I
recovery.
would love. Do you have some stretching exercises on your website that we could try?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you've probably seen I post things pretty much every day, but I'm working on actually creating like an online like subscription platforms where everything is
Hmm.
all in one, and it's a little bit just more organized and easier for people to access. Like, oh, if I want to stretch for sciatica, let's say, or oh, I
Hmm.
need to stretch out my back. Let me look at all the stretches for that. Or oh, I need something for my neck. So I'm working on that. That is in the
Okay.
works. But in the meantime, I will of course send you something. Just let me know what you're looking for. I can send you like one or two videos that would be good
Yeah, I
for
would
you.
love that because I could definitely, I think that's something that we could incorporate, obviously, because we can do that right here, you
Right.
know?
Yeah, you can do that at
Hmm.
home. Yeah, you don't necessarily have to be in the gym. I just know, yeah, people we're all a little lazy, so we won't necessarily. It's a little bit more motivating if we're in the gym or working out, but it's a lot easier, honestly, to do at home,
So
especially if
honestly,
you have
I
somebody to
like,
stretch with.
that's one of the reasons why I don't, get all these, all this gym equipment. Like I love spin. I could easily have bought a Peloton by now.
Right.
But
Mm-hmm.
I am not motivated when I'm home. I have to be in an environment where that's what they're doing. So
Right.
that's why we got the gym membership because I need to be where they're exercising
They're
because if
working
I'm
out,
home
right?
and doing it, it's just gonna be like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna do it on Monday, but I might not do it Wednesday and Friday. There's no
Right.
there won't be any structure. So that's why I've
Yeah.
never invested in any of the equipment to have at home
That
with the exception of
makes
like some weights.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say you were to come to a class, like
Hmm.
a yoga or a stretching class of mine, you would prefer to just go in person, right? Versus do
I
like some
would
virtual.
prefer it because I just need to be in the space where that's what they're doing. Like
That's
I
going
just
on. Yeah.
recently, um, probably last 3 weeks ago, I started taking a line dancing class because I wanna, if I'm going
Cool.
out and they're doing the Tammie line dance, I want to do it too, and I don't
Right.
know how to do it.
Yeah. That's so cool. Line dancing is very unique. I think it's a very fun but like relaxing style of dance. So you're not worried about the technique and all these other things that you may be worried about in other dance types,
Right.
but it's a lot of fun. So that's good that you guys do
But
it.
well, it's
Yeah.
just me. I'm doing it. Yeah, it's just me. And I
Oh,
told my daughter about it. She was like, "Oh, I want to do it too." So yeah,
yeah,
I take
invite your daughters to my class. I would love to have them. Whenever my mom is occasionally here, she also comes to the classes. So
oh
it would be great to
nice.
bring your daughters. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I know the oldest one that's doing the Orange Theory. I'm pretty sure she would like it. My middle daughter would probably. You know what? Actually, I think they all would, and they all have their own kind of interest in it. So I'm
Right.
gonna definitely let them know about it, and maybe we can just come one Saturday, and then Tony, maybe he will, or maybe he won't.
Yeah. No worries. If you can't. But what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something along the lines of that we were just talking about. Oh, being in person. Yeah, I think being in person. I'm the same way. I was gonna say as far as like being motivated. It's tough to do things at home virtually. I'm the same way. I need to be around. I need to be in person. Like get the workout or the training, be in the environment. Because at home, it's like it's just not the same motivation. Like I want to have my at home environment for my at home activities, and then
Right,
other stuff separate. And I don't see how
right.
a lot of people like work from home all day, every day. I mean, some people have to do it, but
Yeah,
it's just like, oh,
yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
definitely that type similar to you where I'm like, I need that environment change for my
For
workouts, for my
sure.
yoga, whatever, outside of my work.
Yeah, and obviously, I with my business, I have a in-home lab, so I do work from home. But
Okay.
the beauty for me is obviously I have the markets, and so there's that balance of seeing people, not seeing people,
You
that
get that
sort of
mix.
thing. So I've got a good balance of that. Because I don't have the personality type where working from home and the possibility of no other human interaction aside from on a screen. I'm not wired that way. I have to have that personal interaction. So the markets help with that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, no, I think we all need that human connection. It's just interesting to see the way that the world is going in terms of
Mm-hmm.
having the virtual stuff. But I think what I've learned and thought about a lot is that as much as the virtual stuff is great, we don't have to go, sometimes we can do Zoom calls, we don't have to be out, we don't have to be
Mm-hmm.
out. It's like we as humans, we need what fuels us and what brings us together. And one of our biggest purposes on this earth is to connect with each other. So
Exactly.
that will never fully die down, I don't think. And I think that'll always be very important for
Oh, for
everything.
sure. Absolutely. For sure. For I think a healthy mental health, it has to be in there because if you think about it, if you're isolated most of the time, there's just that. Yeah, I mean, and there are some people. My husband's an introvert. I don't think he would really care if he ever, you know, necessarily communicated outside of confines of home. But so I mean, he's kind of he's very charismatic and all those things, but he really just he has to get turned on. He was like, it just it's so much to get to us, associate with people sometimes. So it's just, and I get it
Takes a
because
lot of energy.
people can tap a lot out of you for sure.
That thing,
So,
for sure.
uh-huh.
I understand that. You have to preserve your energy a lot
Hmm.
of times. Things
Yeah,
like
and
that bring you, like we were saying, go back to the self-care thing, things that bring you energy, things that bring you joy, where you're
exactly.
also taking care of your body, you're taking care of your mental and your physical at the same time. So yeah, so I
And
hope
that's
you find
very important. Very important.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
I just realized that we've been talking for basically an hour. I'm like, oh
Oh
wow.
wow.
Well, that's good. I mean, we got a
Oh
genuine
yeah.
conversation in, and I really enjoyed every piece of it. And I hope everybody who's joined has also enjoyed
Yeah.
it.
Thanks, y'all.
Good review.
Hmm.
So hopefully you guys are now interested. If not, you sign up for this upcoming women's health event that I'm putting on, Navigating Women's Health, Your Body and Your Options. That's going to be December 5th at 6:30 p.m. And I will be having the lovely Tammie join me to sell her amazing 68th and Monroe skincare products. So
Hmm.
everybody come out, sign up. in my bio. We'll also be probably posting about it again, but it's next Tuesday in the Atlanta area. So
Yeah.
before we go, does anybody have any questions? I guess I got to just ask and make sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
If anybody has anything they want to ask us before we hop off for the night. Let's see. Just make sure. Okay. Well, if there are no questions, we hope to see you guys there at our events in Atlanta next week. And thank you so much for joining, Tammie.
Yeah,
It was so much fun.
absolutely. Thank
Love
you.
talking. I can't wait to see you in person and we can talk more about all these things.
Absolutely. Thank you for including me in this. I appreciate it.
Of course. I really love what you're doing. I can tell that you're really passionate about it. And like I said, it was perfect. I was looking for brands that connected to somewhat women's health and wellness in general. So, and having those referrals, Rhoda, and then my guy, Ulrich, I'm like, of course, I've got to go for her.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, did you get the juice people?
Which ones? Which ones did you,
Was it oh shoot.
Oh,
I drink from them
so
all the time.
they're
A
amazing.
line something?
Juice and Aligned. I do. So
Yes.
I do get their juices. The only reason I was not able to ask them was because the area that I'm doing the class in, I mean the event in, is it's at the Marietta market. So they have food and drinks being sold in the market. It's like a private event space. But they were saying I can't like have any vendors who sell food or drinks. So I'm like, oh. I know it was like a competing thing, but they're amazing and I love them. I always support and buy their products, and I know she's pregnant. I'm gonna probably
She
do
is.
it now, but
As do
I would have
I.
loved to have them.
We usually on the same rotation at Grant Park. So every
Mm,
time I'm there, I make
they're
sure
there.
I get their juices or whatever. And we're usually kind of right across from each other. So yeah.
Okay, and I just saw
Mm-hmm.
somebody ask a question. How can I join your yoga class? So if you click all the link to sign up for everything, the event that we're doing and my yoga classes in person and virtual is in the link in my bio. So my page is at Ageless Mobility, and then if you click that link, you'll see an option where you can do it's like a weekly yoga class. You want to click that, and then you want to either hit the virtual or the in-person option, and it'll take you through the steps. But it's every Wednesday at 6:30 in Atlanta, and then if you want to do the virtual option, that's on Mondays at 6:30 p.m. and Saturdays soon to come. Like I was telling Tammie, make sure there's no more questions. But yeah, I guess that's it. I'm really excited for next week, so I'll see you then, and let me know if you have any questions or thoughts or anything before then. Definitely share with as many people as you can. I'm looking forward to meeting some of your tribe too. I'm sure some of them will.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully they are able to come out.
Yes. Well, thanks for joining. I'll let you enjoy the rest of your night. It was great
All
talking with you.
right. All right. See ya.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Bye,
Bye.
Tammie. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for joining.